Nerderotic.com.
Star Trek Discovery is the gift that keeps on giving. I have not laughed that hard in a long, long time, probably since last night's episode of Happy. But it was a knee slapper, tonight's episode. So just to catch everybody up, last week we found out Michael Burnham is not the Red Angel. I know everybody had guessed that she was the Red Angel because they made it obvious, but they gave us a twist. They really tricked us, even though the biosignature said it could not be duplicated. Calder said that, Tilly said that, but it turned out to be Michael Burnham's mom. But we also found out that Michael Burnham's mom worked for Section 31. And we also find out that it was Leland who was her boss, even though they look, I guess they could be the same age. It doesn't really matter because it's Star Trek Discovery. But more importantly, and if I get the time wrong, I don't really care, but we heard that 30 years prior, while Mama Burnham and Papa Burnham were working for Section 31, and Mama Burnham was an astrophysicist. Papa Burnham is a xenobiologist, but in her spare time, she was a brilliant engineer and invented a time suit, a time traveling suit. The only thing it was missing was the time crystal. That is some brilliant writing. I was just floored. That's like building a TARDIS, but the only thing you're missing is the console. So it's basically just a suit without the time crystal, the magic time crystal. And we now have at least three Deus Ex Machina items within one episode. We have the all-knowing sphere. We have a giant sphere, a giant planet that I guess traveled through the universe and was able to spy on people up close and get specific information and log this specific information, and was able to download this specific information. Oh no, I will get to the dumbest part about the sphere. But yeah, we can't go over the fact that a time traveling spacesuit was developed 30 years prior to Star Trek Discovery. So that's about 38 years to 40 years prior to the original series, which had some time travel in it. Sure could have come in useful at that point if only they had a time crystal. And they probably could have used it in Star Trek 4, and I imagine Voyager could have used it, and I imagine pretty much every version of the show could have used it in all their time traveling episodes. But what the hell? And they wouldn't have shared the technology, even though she was probably using Federation equipment to build this. She wasn't doing it on the side. Oh, she was doing it for Section 31. That's right. So they would obviously know about it. So they developed a plan to capture Michael Burnham's mom, who, when she travels through time and space in her Iron Man Phoenix armor, because that's what it kind of looks like. It looks like the Iron Man Phoenix armor to me. There's like a membrane that goes around it and makes a little mini wormhole, and who cares, because it's got a time crystal. What the hell? So it's Michael Burnham's mom. They capture her in a big stasis field on some inhospitable planet so they can talk to her and find out what's up with the red signals. So we get to this episode. To capture her, by the way, they had to kill Michael Burnham because they knew the one thing that would get Michael Burnham to help anybody would be to kill Michael Burnham. Forget about the paradoxes this creates, and let's forget about the AI that wants to be AI. That's another thing. So the big bad is Control, the Section 31 computer that was turned on one day and just decided it wanted to be a little boy. But if it has decided it wanted to be a little boy, it is therefore conscious. So the desire to be conscious is to be conscious. But I guess we're not thinking about that right now. So we have that to deal with. In the last episode, Leland got poked in the eye with something. We knew it was going to be like a little nanobot from Control. So we have captured Michael Burnham's mom. Michael Burnham, of course, almost died. She wakes up in sick bay, and it's not a nightmare. She finds it's not a nightmare for us either. She finds out that her mom is there, and she has the time traveling spacesuit. Now everybody's around her, Captain Pike and Giorgio and Dr. Calder, and they're just waiting to get, and Spock, who in this episode pretty much just walks between hallways and tells Michael Burnham stuff. And she gets all the data from her mom. Her mom vlogged everything, by the way. Thankfully, she vlogged everything she did. She went on 841 missions, and we find out that when her parents were indeed killed by the Klingons, they weren't killed. Mom put on her suit, blinked away. We don't know what happened to dad, and she was going to come right back and just take them out of time so they wouldn't be attacked. And she was in deep space by herself in this Iron Man suit with a couple of probes, and she just happened to find a habitable planet to live on. How she got there, maybe she blinked there using her time suit, maybe. I don't know how she was flying around. I don't know how she was able to find a planet. Doesn't matter. Oxygen, stuff like that. And the hardest part for me is I'm currently reading the very excellent, fantastic, wonderful. I can't put any more words of love on the latest book of The Expanse, Tiamat's Wrath. Freaking great book so far. So I'm reading The Expanse, and then I'm watching Star Trek Discovery, and it's kind of like watching Carl Sagan's Cosmos and then watching Scooby-Doo, except I'm disrespecting Scooby-Doo right now. I know that, and I don't mean to do that. So real quick, we find out that the Red Angel was able to communicate with Spock because of Spock's uniqueness. And you would think, well, okay, he's pretty unique. He's half Vulcan, he's half human. Nope, dyslexia. It was his dyslexia that made him able to communicate to the Red Angel. The Red Angel, who was Michael Burnham's mom, was able to observe everything because she's a god. She was able to watch Michael Burnham graduate, meet Philippa Georgiou for the first time, everything, absolutely everything. Although if she's actually watching everything and traveling in time, like, is that what she was doing in between? Like, when did she have time to do all this? How was she observing everything? Questions I have. I'm sorry. So Leland gets taken over by Control, and the first hologram that Leland sees, of course, Control is represented as Michael Burnham. Big surprise there. Then turns into Captain Pike, and then it puts some nanobots into him, and then he becomes Control. The reason Control chose him is because of his moral ambiguity, which again shows that it is conscious enough to know what moral ambiguity is, and that it can be used, and that is a desire which makes you conscious, but yet it's not conscious yet. Just, I hope you're all following along at home. So you could tell Star Trek Discovery is out of money because they just go back and forth from the ship to the same set that is on the inhospitable planet where they have trapped Michael Burnham's mom in a stasis field because they have her trapped there temporarily. The time is going to suck her back into her regular timeline. Okay, so they only have like an hour to do that, but of course Stamets is able to do it because they have infinite energy. So the whole time, and I probably should have thought of this earlier, but I caught this early in the episode. I'm like, hey, the AI that is not an AI yet, that desires to be an AI, needs the AI information to become an AI, although it's not an AI yet, although it wants to be one. Are we following here? So it's not an AI yet, but it wants to be one. And it knows where the AI information is. It's in the sphere that traveled through time and space and observed everything, and was able to catalog its memory. God, I wish I could do that. So the first thought I had is just delete the information. Why don't we just delete the information? They didn't have it for very long, and they wouldn't need it. So they actually talk about that. I was like, oh, thank God they finally talked about just deleting the damn thing, and that would solve the problem. But the problem is they can't delete the information. The information scrambles and it goes all throughout the computer, and it's like sentient. So they can't delete it. And I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense. But then later on, they say, well, we could remove it and put it in the suit and send it in the future 1,000 years, so the AI that's not an AI can't get it. And I'm like, well, if you could remove it from the computer, on a USB drive, why don't you just burn that then? Why don't you just delete it from there, or just destroy it? It still needs power. It still needs to run. That doesn't get thought of. Whatever. Uh, so yes, so we find out that Michael Burnham's mom has been trying to stop Control this whole time. She observed that Control had used some kind of antimatter, quantum something or other, to destroy all sentient life. So the AI can just sit there by itself, pretty much. I don't know. And through this, she has been trying to stop her, and she can't. She mentions she keeps changing time. So she's altering time. So canon, fundamentalist canon, friends of Star Trek canon, it is destroyed. It is gone. It is dead. It is not coming back. Alex Kurtzman, and I'm going to be doing a separate video on this, has talked about he's going to answer all the questions. We know what the answer is going to be. We're just going to F with the timeline. Wow, that's really smart and not lazy at all. So we find out that the sphere was put into the Discovery's path by Michael Burnham's mom. She was able to loosen or disrupt the gravity field around the planet and move it. So it's in the path of the Discovery that was in warp when it went by it. And then the planet pulled it out of the warp. So I'm guessing Michael Burnham's mom pulled the Discovery out of warp with her suit. Again, she's just a goddess, slay queen. And yeah, there's lots of whamming of science in this episode. So yeah, she put the planet into the Discovery's path, and I just don't know how much more I could take. Oh, and then at the end, so Giorgio figures out that there's something up with Leland, because he's got a great resolve, and I guess he normally doesn't. And first he asks Vought Tyler to steal the information. He does it in the guise of he says that Michael Burnham's mom is a clone. So we need to steal the information because we're helping the AI. So of course he's the AI. That's not an AI yet. And he sends Vought Tyler to go steal it. He refuses the order. So he sends Giorgio, who goes and talks to Michael Burnham's mom, and they have a mutual admiration society, because that's, anytime two women get in a room, they're instantly friends, even though they're enemies, and they just talk about how awesome each other are. So they positively reaffirm each other. And then Giorgio's going to steal all the information for Section 31, which is actually helping the AI, but then she figures it out and stops it. And there's a big karate fight between the AI Leland, who's filled with nanobots and can't be killed by phasers. And then she does like kung fu chops. When Leland at the end, when Leland beams down to finally take out Michael Burnham's mom and the suit, there's a bunch of security guys there. He instantly kills all the men. All the men die except for Stamets, and then it was pretty funny. So there is one scene. We can't go through an episode of Star Trek Discovery without cutting Pike's balls off. So they keep reattaching him and then ripping him off. And he goes down and talks to Michael Burnham's mom, who chews him out. But the worst offense in this episode happens in this scene. I'm actually concerned for my good friend Doomcock. I think he should make another helmet, because he's gonna need it. So while she's chewing Pike out, she's like, listen, she's pissed that she got trapped. She's like, you're stopping me from my mission. I know what's up. I've seen all of history. You're just ghost to me. I know what's gonna happen. And she's all, do you want to know your future? You're not gonna like it, but I'm not gonna. And then Pike goes, no. And she's like, right, because I'm here to talk about my daughter. And that was it. So she insinuates Pike's fate, and she could have saved him right there. Didn't say a word. Not a word. Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting to see some of the Star Trek fans try to do the mental gymnastics to like the show. And maybe they genuinely do. And, no judgment. I don't know how you could possibly be a Star Trek fan and like this show, because this show is made for people who hate Star Trek, not just kind of like it or somewhat dislike it or like Spock or maybe just like the ships, but thought it was kind of boring, don't like the cardboard sets, as Pablo Hidalgo said. I'm going to put that in my video. This is for people who hate Star Trek, and it's the dumbest show on television. And just watch an episode, watch 5 minutes of The Expanse and watch Star Trek Discovery, and you will see what is good storytelling and what is really, really bad storytelling. There's a bunch of soap opera moments, and believe me, I did not even hit all the dumb things in this episode. Oh, they used their comm badges too. So Star Trek Discovery, thank God it's only 3 more episodes. It is the worst show on TV. I cannot believe it got picked up for another season, but I guess it did. They are going to be releasing some short treks to kind of explain the giant plot holes, and I think they're supposed to come out this season. Turns out, like I said before, I don't think Alex Kurtzman's the showrunner for this show anymore. Turns out Netflix is in play again for the Picard series. And it turns out the Section 31 show has not been ordered yet as a series. Please like, share, and subscribe, and may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.